And we're back with part 2 of A Rose for Emily. So we packed a lot in the first part, so I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully you're getting a good handle on this. The title of the story, A Rose for Emily. There is one mention of a rose-colored tint in one of the rooms, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. What is a rose? It's a flower. And when do you give someone a rose? When you love them. Or at a funeral, you bring a rose when you love them and you put it on the casket. I think this story is a rose for Emily. Other than the fact that she killed a man and slept with his dead body for over 30 years, she's pretty cool. You don't hear any people say that too often. But other than the fact that she killed a man and slept with the body for over 30 years, she's a very strong, independent woman who made her way in life. And, you know, she just killed a guy from the north, so they're not too worried about that in town. And I think the telling of this story is the way the town is honoring her. To have your story told, that goes back thousands of years, as a way to be honored, right? Why did Achilles go fight in Troy? Helen wasn't his girlfriend who had been kidnapped. Well, his mother said, "Boy, your story will be told," in Greek. And so he went, and here I am telling his story, but he's dead. So, you know, what do you think when someone says, "Hey, I heard a story about you"? You go, well, right? You get that little tingle. You hope it's good. You don't know. But there's a certain, like, you existed somewhere where you were not. When that story was being told about you, you existed there, not where you were. You existed in both places. Anyway, I digress a little bit. But I think this story is the town's tribute to Emily. This town's tribute to Emily. So I want to just read to you the last part, section 5, because it all kind of comes together here at the end. By the way, the African-American servant, I love Toby. You could write your papers from Toby's perspective. That would be an awesome paper. I don't know if anybody's ever done that. Rewrite the story as if you're Toby the servant. And I love at the end when he meets the ladies at the front door to let them in, and he turns around and walks out the back door. He's sort of free finally. He was not a slave. Toby was not a slave. Slavery ended in 1865 in the South, okay? Mississippi, where this is set. But he probably was under her power of some sort. So anyway, he leaves. And you also don't want to be a black man in 1930 in the house with a dead white guy. It's a good way to find yourself lynched, like our poor friend from a party down at the square. Anyway, the 2 female cousins came at once. They held the funeral on the second day, with the town coming to look at Miss Emily beneath a mass of bought flowers, with the crayon face of her father musing profoundly above the bier, still alive, thinking about his daughter, figuratively. And the ladies, sibilant and macabre, and the very old men, some in their brushed Confederate uniforms on the porch and the lawn, talking of Miss Emily as if she'd been a contemporary of theirs, believing that they had danced with her and courted her perhaps, confusing time with its mathematical progression as the old do. To whom, this is such beautiful writing. Confusing time with its mathematical progression as the old do. To whom all the past is not a diminishing road, but instead a huge meadow, which no winter ever quite touches. Divided from them now by the narrow bottleneck of the most recent decade of years. If you ever talk to somebody who's over 75, 70, even 65 years old, and you get them talking about the old days, it's not last week, it's not last year, it's when they were 15, 20, where they grew up, right? So to an older person, and I'm starting to get this way myself, the past it's long ago, and it's this sort of field that no winter, no frost ever touches this field. And sometimes people with dementia go back to that field, right? That's where their minds go, and they start talking to people like it's their parents who have been long dead. But that is how time works. There are times in your life that are so much more influential on you today than today is on you, than yesterday is, except, of course, a big influence on you. So there are time periods that are so important to you that you will always remember that might be 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. I don't know how old you guys are. So that's what Faulkner is always saying about time, about who we are. Different parts of our past are more important at different times. We don't even understand it, right? We don't even understand it. But it's there. It's there. It's always there. And then he has this great sentence. He has so many complex sentences. And then this great one sentence, third to last paragraph. The man himself lay in the bed. Wah, wah, wah. And just in case we were wondering if she slept with the body, yes. We saw a long strand of iron gray hair. Throughout the story, you can trace the color of Emily's hair, and it turns gray long after Homer's dead. So we know that she's been lying with the body. But here's the second to last paragraph. The last sentence, second to last paragraph. Don't worry, I'll read it for you. What was left of him, rotted beneath what was left of the nightshirt, had become inextricable from the bed. He's rotted right into the bed in which he lay. And upon him and upon the pillow beside him lay that even coating of the patient and biding dust. What is dust mostly? That's right. Somebody always knows it. Dust is dead skin cells mostly. Simon, that counts for you too. You see him over there? Look at that cat over there. That's right. So the dust represents, and Faulkner probably didn't know that, but the dust is the past that coats everything, right? And I love the idea that we now know it's mostly dead skin cells. It's the people who came before us, right? The past covers everything. I am sitting, if you can't tell, I am sitting at a desk that belonged to my family, probably in the 1920s or 30s. It's an inexpensive mission style. There is a trunk that one of my ancestors brought when he emigrated from Germany around 1860 something. I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't. And the forks on the wall, of course, belong to the Berninger farmers of Ghent. So anyway, the past is always with us, and I love feeling this table and thinking about all the Berningers who sat at it. And actually, you know, it's funny, my stepson took this to Montreal, and he lent it to a friend for a year in Montreal at McGill University, where he went to school. And a kid from Persia, he's Persian, a kid from Iran at McGill used this table. So this table's got a lot of people connected to it. Now I'm teaching from it. Whoever thought that would happen? So anyway, the dust is the past, the people that coats everything. And hey, you can clean all you want. You're always going to have a little bit of dust around. So, Faulkner's Point and a rose for Emily. Emily definitely is a very strong woman. It's a woman whose life was denied her by her father. And Faulkner said this in an interview. He didn't say it was anything elaborate about North versus South, old versus new. That might be in there, but you know, whatever. He said it's about a woman whose life was ahead of her and her father denied it. And that repressed, that mashed down inside of her desire to be with a man and have a man forever. And when something natural is pushed and mashed down inside of us, it's coming out somewhere, right? It's coming out somewhere, and probably not in a good way, not in a healthy way. And it does not come out in a healthy way here. She kills the guy and sleeps with the body. So Faulkner himself, it's very rare for an author to do this. Faulkner himself in an interview said it just got repressed, her desire to lead a natural life. And again, we all know Berninger does not believe it is a necessarily natural life to get married, have kids, blah, blah, blah. Rose for Emily, a New England nun told us that, right? But anyway, maybe that's what she wanted, and it was denied her. It was denied her, and it comes out in a very unhealthy way, to say the least. I don't recommend killing a man or a woman and sleeping with the body for that long. idea. It's a bad idea. So on that note, I think we did it. That was pretty quick. 2 parts. I know you're all busy. Don't want to take up too much of your time. But I think we did a good job talking about A Rose for Emily, thanks to some of the questions and comments that you put in the discussion board. So we'll see you back in the virtual classroom next week. Bye, everybody.